Welcome to week 5, Designing Your Pose. This is classical animation workflow and techniques with Enrique Barone. Enrique is going to be working in Flash, aka Adobe Animate. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Yeah, like the other question that I had, do you guys feel that because you animating, because a lot of you guys were asking in the first classes about like drawing and how to get better at drawing. And like one thing I believe that like the more you draw, the better you get. And, like animating is a lot of drawings. So I was curious, like, do you guys feel that just because you got just animating, like practicing this frame by frame, do you guys feel you drawing a little bit better? Like the shapes are like your wrist like more loose kind of thing, or how do you guys after like 4 weeks of frame by frame practice?
No.
Yeah, I got better at drawing circles.
That's good.
That's just it.
That's good because I was saying like everything is a bouncing ball. So if you draw circles well, you're in the right path. Purposefully. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it.
I have a question about symbols.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever use them while doing a character? Because as I've seen it, you use symbols for twin
Yeah.
and maybe to stretch a ball or something like that. But would you use it in a character?
What do you mean a character? Like designing a character? Or?
No, while animating.
Yeah, I would use. I use symbols a lot actually, and in this character class, we'll see how we can mix it. Like most of my stuff at the end it's a mix of like frame by frame and symbol, and yeah.
So maybe you use the head as a symbol.
Yeah,
Let's say.
Yeah, exactly. So the head is usually a symbol. So let's say for the character, we're gonna imagine that the character's head now, it's the bouncing ball, not just the head, but the whole body and also the head. It's kind of like the principles are the same. Like let's say in terms of what's happening in the assignment, we're gonna go from a bouncing ball to a character. But then in terms of like how to use the symbol, the technical side of it, we can think the head being the bouncing ball. That makes sense. And I'll show like after class, because some people are also asking more about like Tammy was asking about how to like if I could demonstrate more about symbols, and yeah, I have some examples here, so I can show like where you can do another symbol, like break the symbol apart, so you can draw like a drastic different head, or how would a symbol look with a drastically different drawn heads inside it, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, the symbols, it's like I was saying, like I was showing in the last class, so you guys know what's possible with the software. But it takes a while to grasp like how and where and like and why to use symbols. And in fact, like if you don't want to use it, that's fine. Like in production, it speeds things up, but at the end is a course for like frame by frame. So if you want to go like full frame by frame, it's completely fine. So yeah, like Zach was saying here that he's drawing like with more purpose, and and for me that's like that's the same thing to say that it's drawing better, because if you imply like an intention and a goal to your drawings, which is what animation is about, you're drawing it because of something, and just by doing that you're putting a reason on your drawing, and this reason gives your drawing more personality, more life, really. And sometimes, like even like I don't do much illustration or design, but the things I love is when I see drawings that are there for a reason. And even for like illustration or design, if you have that in mind, it's I believe that your drawings will say much more, because yeah, you're drawing with a purpose, right? And we're gonna see that doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily relate to like say we did the bouncing ball, and that this assignment will also be an action scene. So drawing with a purpose is not really drawing like a really stretched pose or like a super like action drawing. And we're gonna see how this purpose and this reason can be present on any drawing, even if it's a character on a very like subtle position, or like not doing much, but you imply that purpose on your drawing. So yeah, like animating can and it does do really good job for drawing as well. Yeah, and then there's that, like the software itself, it takes a while to, I don't know, the brushing flash is a little bit different, and sometimes you want to use the pencil, so it's kind of. I was wondering if you could share your thoughts on frame by frame as an industry, and would be some of your career option path going forward. Yeah, totally. So what I think for frame by frame is that you will always find a way to use it. So say like for from the people in the first class, like some of them, like a lot of them actually came to me saying, "Oh, I'm using frame by frame just to start my animation. I'm not really like doing a cleanup version because like sometimes it's hard and production is fast, and I'm more comfortable with Flash. But it's really helping me to give that initial pass, that like what's going on, and I just do like a quick thumbs up, a quick thumbnail, and so like I understand what's going on, and then I use that as a basis to go for After Effects, where things are faster and more comfortable with the software and all. So I think like especially now there's like tons of stuff happening for frame by frame, and especially character, which is amazing to see because I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago it wasn't as much, and now it seemed to be a really good time. But more than that, I think like the basis for everything is animation, and it's time and spacing. Even if say like the next thing in 2 or 3 years are like I don't know, squares or whatever, is you're not going to be drawing squares. You're going to be understanding timing and spacing, and if you do that, you're going to be good for like everything that comes, every trend that comes like in the next years. So it's not about learning frame by frame, or like or knowing if the industry is it's good or not for character or for animation. It's about understanding the basis and then going forward with this, building on top of it. And you can build as a After Effects animator, you can build as a 3D animator, or you can build as being like an actual frame by frame traditional animator. But the basis, it is and it should be the same for all these techniques, because it's not about the look or about the style. It's about time and spacing, how things move. It's about the movement. It's about understanding energy, and like energy moving from one place to another, and those kind of stuff. So that's why I'm really kind of talking a lot about those stuff, and I'm hoping that you guys will feel after we're done with the course, and maybe even now you guys are already feeling that, oh, it's actually helped me on other stuff as well. So that's that was the whole idea when I started talking to Michael about doing a frame by frame course. It's it's hard. It's hard to. It takes time. Like 6 weeks. Yeah, it's a good time, but it like to become good at something, not just animation, anything. It takes time. So the idea for the course was to get you guys to be more confident with frame by frame, and help you to hopefully think animation with this frame by frame mind. That makes sense? So that was my career talk.
Yeah, totally. Because like motion graphics really changed, I think, like from the really flat style that was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's completely something else.
And
Not only textures, but yeah, animation like frame by frame. You can see it a lot in a lot of studios.
And it changes quick. Like motion graphics is such a quick industry. Like I don't know, like 2-3 years ago, you don't know what's gonna happen, and then let's say, oh, I put so much time and effort on really learning that technique, and then 2-3 years from now, like no one is doing it. So it's more about the basics, and how to move forward with that, with principles well established, and then kind of like be, I don't know, be a chameleon to whatever is happening in the industry. I guess that gives you this basics, time and spacing. So I think like everybody is here now. That's the feedback that I've been getting from some of the people in the first class, and they're doing like some really good stuff, which is like, wow, you are really like impressing me. It's awesome. So yeah, let's talk about the class and start to understand more the character. And like I was saying, you guys are already like doing character animation. The bouncing ball is already a character. So I wasn't calling it character because sometimes people say characters, like, oh, characters are hard. But then if you call it a bouncing ball and then you put some expressions and good time and spacing and think about a scene like, oh, it's being chased. So it's already a character. So now, like I was saying, is one step up. We're gonna be developing a character that is more like it has like human proportions, and that on itself is gonna be a challenge. But for everything else, like how to approach how to start an animation, how to go for your what's going on pass, do your thumbnails, and then plan your timing and spacing. The process is exactly the same. After doing the shape and the bouncing head, I'm sure you guys will be more confident with the character. I'm gonna do this class a little bit different. I'm gonna start demonstrating the assignment and what needs to happen, and then later I'll go through some of the stuff that are in the website now, and then you guys can stop me at any time. But then when I'm showing like design principles for your pose, you guys can stop me at any time and be more like a chatty thing. Another thing, in the bouncing head, we were focusing on like the emotion of the character, right? And working like with expressions and thinking if he's sad or if he's angry, implying those in the movement. So now for the character assignment, and that's always like really important, and that's something that you really need to think when you start doing anything in terms of animation, and that will help give your character that purpose that Zach was talking about. However, for this assignment, I want you guys to practice more. So that's face. I want you guys to practice more like the go and the want in the character. And that has to do as well with expressions, but for the assignment, we're gonna be focusing on like body language. And that's like the body. And obviously, like at the end, a character is made of like face and body. So we practiced those faces with the bouncing head, and now it's time to practice the body and like how the body can show what's the intention of the character and what's the character's goal, which is another thing alongside emotion that will give your character the purpose, and that will make your poses stronger, and that will make the audience engage with your character and animation much more. So it's always important to, like in every single pose, especially the keyframes, like really especially the keyframes, to show your audience in a body language way what your character wants and what's the goal of your character. Like a character that has no goal, it's way harder to engage. It's almost like you need to relate to the character somehow to engage with it, and the way you engage with the character is by giving him a goal. And the goal can be anything. Like the goal can be, my goal is to go to that door and leave that room. So if in your scene all the poses show that the character is like really looking for the door and like trying to go and open it and leave, or whatever happens in the next scene, that will make this scene stronger. The scene where the character stands up and go to the door. So in this case, in our case, it's to use an obstacle to change direction and then come back to where he comes from. So the obstacle, it's there to be that goal where you're gonna like work out those poses and like show intention and draw with a purpose. So I'm gonna demonstrate what needs to happen in the assignment, which is, and I'm gonna do with a bouncing ball. So the character needs to enter the frame, and that's very kind of like the step-by-step for the assignment. Character needs to enter the frame, then character needs to land somewhere, and then jump towards that goal. And you can see that that's kind of like my what's going on paths, right? That's basically like my thumbnails and my planning, really. So character is gonna like jump here, and in the jump, like gonna have a little bit of a hang time there. Then he's gonna start falling. But as he starts falling, he's gonna use that object. Let's do that. He's gonna use that object somehow to change direction. So instead of going here, where it's which is where the energy would keep going if there wasn't an obstacle there, he's gonna now like change direction and come like to this way. So change the direction here, and then he's gonna swing here. So we're gonna do like a pendulum action, which is another key concept for practicing timing and spacing. So a pendulum always like decelerate in the highest position, and the fastest moment on a pendulum is the lowest point. And we practice that a lot with the shape assignment. So now it's time to like bring those those things that we learn in practice in the shape assignment. That's the time to put those in practice with the character. So character changes direction, and then comes here, swings back, and then he's gonna jump back here to where it comes from. A lot of energy coming from here, and then he's gonna fall again here, and he's gonna saddle here where he first landed. And then I'm gonna show 2 ways we can do that assignment. Okay, landed here, and then one way I thought it could be nice to finish the assignment, and like personally I like loops. I think they're nice to like they're nice to look at, and it kind of gives the impression that, well, they never end, so it's kind of a nice thing. So I thought that assignment could be a loop, like that final assignment could be a loop where the character jumps again, maybe like not as high, and then in the hang time here, I thought you guys could explore like an interesting pose. So let's say that's his like, let's imagine that this scene, like I was saying, like, so the bouncing head is, it was more about the emotions and like what's the character feeling. Let's imagine that in this scene is less about the feeling and it's more about the intention. So let's imagine that that's like a circle scene or an action scene where the intention is to move, really, using that obstacle. So one thing that I thought it could be cool is if in this last pose it's kind of like the character kind of like presenting himself. So I'm gonna show more of the assignment, but like let's say no, let's say like the ball, instead of, so the ball here could well, let me save that because yeah, let's say the ball here like surprisingly changes to a square, or I don't know, it changes to a different shape. It's a place for you guys to practice that idea of favoring. So we want to see more of this shape in the hang time, in the final hang time. So it's like or doing like a cannonball, like really like concentrating energy, or I don't know, maybe it splits in two. So anyway, like here in this last hang time, something fun happened. It's kind of like a signature pose. Let's say that's how I finish my assignment. So just something for you guys to explore, bringing that voice. And then, okay, then the hang time continues, and the character falls, and that's where the loop continues. So from here to here, it should probably, or not probably, it should have kind of like the same line. So it comes from here the same way it's coming from here. So that's how we would finish the assignment. So goes, change direction, comes, and goes back again. And it's a loop. So it's pleasant, and it gives it's nice to keep looking at, and from an animation standpoint, it's nice to be looking at, and oh, that part feels a little bit weird, or that part. So it's like, oh, that part's working well. I'm gonna tweak the timing in this part, or like adjust the spacing there. I'm gonna add like an anticipation here because it's a little bit like going from nothing. That kind of stuff. So that's one way to go with the assignment. And that for that one, you could go like with 5 seconds, or like if you make it in shorter, it's okay. If you guys feel that that's too much, and I was planning about like presenting it on a shorter version, but you guys been doing like so well with the bouncing ball that I decided, like, actually, like last night, to like, yeah, let's do like the full version. Let's make that loop because it's nice. If you guys feel that it's a bit too long, the other way you can do the assignment is to, let me see, and again, that's not like doing less or being simpler for the sake of being simpler. That's just if you feel like practicing on a different way at your own pace, that's completely fine. So the other way you could start the character already here, and then it goes from a squash or an anticipation, and then it jumps, changes direction, and then it comes back. So that's it's also a loop. There you go. But it's just like a little bit shorter. But still, like this pose, it's the same of this pose. So the character can either be there, anticipate, jump, change direction using the obstacle and come back to the same position, or it can start falling, change direction, goes back to the same position, anticipate, jumps, and then completes the loop. Whichever you guys feel more comfortable with, just go with this. I'm gonna be demonstrating like the complete version, the longer version, but don't feel it's not bad or anything to do like a little bit shorter. Absolutely not. So that's the what's going on path. So that's what needs to happen with the character. On a, let's say on a production process, that would be kind of what you would, no, maybe not. That would be maybe described in the script, or you would probably get some frames for that in the storyboard, and then you would go from there. So yeah, maybe you would get like that pose and then turning. It depends. Like sometimes the production is rushed and we get not as many poses. Sometimes there's time, so the storyboard there's like more poses. In any case, that's your first pass. That's what needs to happen. Yeah, and if that was the bouncing head, I believe you guys would be able to go from here and do your bouncing head. It's about time and spacing here, really. So let's say from here to here, we know that the character is falling fast. So it's like decelerating from here, and then it accelerates here. Then from here to here, we know that that's a hang time. So in terms of like time and spacing, here you go here, and then decelerate here, and then here again. Oh yeah, decelerate there, and then here it accelerates here. So there's like more, you're favoring this pose, and then it accelerates here, and then again, if that's your passing position, that's gonna be fast here. So if that were the shape assignment, that could possibly be a smear frame like that. And if that was the bouncing head, when the character is stopping in the high position here, you could probably, if that was a tie, you could probably do a drag here. If that was a hair, you could probably drag the hair here. But in our case, those will be arms and legs. So the appendixes now are not the hair and the tie, but arms and legs. And we saw in the last class how we were using the S-curve and the drag for the tie and the hair. And remember I demonstrated how the S-curve is present not only in floppy ears or stuff hanging in the character, but also like in the arm or in the leg. So that's you're gonna practice that here. And okay, more drag here, decelerating from here and accelerating here, back here, really playing with arcs here, right? We were talking about arcs and how important they are to, the more you follow arcs, the more smooth their animation will feel. So really good moment for an arc here, decelerating here again, like same deal, falls, accelerates, saddle again. We saw overshoots, so let's say yeah, it squashes here, then it overshoots a bit. You kind of can keep going up a little bit, and then land there. And here you can maybe give the character more time. Maybe you do a blink, maybe you do a head turn. There, you can maybe give your character a little bit of a breathing moment here, because remember we are also talking about quick and slow, and how it's important in your scene to have moments that are fast and then moments that are like slow. So it's always like if you just like have quick moments, like you can think about animation as being like it's almost like breathing. So if you breathe too hard, you, like there's no time for you to stop and like, okay. So it's always about finding like quick moments and then like breathing a little bit. If you just have like slow moments, then it's like just too slow. If you just have quick moments, you won't have quick moments. So it's about like getting those contrasts and those that will balance your animation, almost like a heart beating, like compressing, releasing, compressing, releasing. And that's the same thing for quick and slow. You go quick and then you go slow. You go quick and then slow. And that happens on a broad scale. So let's say like the whole scene is an action scene. So here's quick and then it stops. And then it goes quick again. And that's like the broader scale where that quick and slow happen. But that can also happen on a character scale where, let's say, you move the legs very quick, but the body is almost still. So you have like quick moments on your leg, but the body is almost doing nothing. So that's also like quick and slow, and that gives texture on your character, and that plus the texture on your broad, the actual scene timing, those two things combined, that starts to give personality and texture and makes the scene more dynamic, kind of thing. So maybe here, as the character stops, like bears a bit, maybe like look around or like look down or look up, like or maybe just blinks, really, like it's just a moment for the characters to stop a little bit. And then from here you can yeah, anticipate a bit, jump, goes to that weird position. So let's just do for in this case, like I'm going from here to here. So it's a moment to practice that idea of favoring. So we are favoring the high position here, and then the character falls, and it picks up from here. So all those principles we practice: accelerating, decelerating, anticipating, saddle, then arcs here, drag and overlap with the arms and legs, and that last like fun bit if you feel like that's something that you could have fun with. So that's it with a bouncing ball. And now, like, once you establish that, and I do recommend doing what I did with the bouncing ball, like really don't think about the character yet, just think about the timing, what's happening, and how it's gonna happen. And like having just a bouncing ball there, it helps for your mind to not consider the character yet, because when you see a character, it's like, oh, he has like arms and legs, and like, oh, the hand, how I'm gonna animate the hand. And so starting with that helps a lot too. When you see the character, you already know what's gonna happen, and so it's easier on your mind. Any questions to this point, like to what needs to happen with the character, what the assignment is about? So more like an action scene, lots of energy going on with the movement, and with those steps like fall, change direction, back, and jumps again. All good to this point?
Yeah, as a first pass, would you always go with like a ball, like just drawing a, or
Yeah.
would you do like a more detailed character?
Yeah,
Not detailed, but
for the very, very first pass like this, I would recommend going with a ball.
okay.
And then I'm gonna start like building on top of it, and you see how the process go. But yeah, I would totally not be afraid of or ashamed or whatever to start with the ball, like not at all. And I actually do that sometimes with like in work, really. Like if I got a scene where, okay, I need to put some keyframes to know like where the character is gonna be on the screen, and let's say I know the scene is like 4 seconds, so and that needs to happen. So I readily start like drawing the character as it is in the very first pass. So the very first pass, maybe it's not like a ball like that, and I'll show like how I usually do my first pass, but it's definitely not the final character yet. So the first passes are always about time and spacing, and it's like it's loose and it's rough. It's like the like a common mistake is to try to make an illustration out of like each single drawing on this stage, and it's not helpful because things need to happen step by step. So if you stepping ahead too much, you're not gonna get to your goal, which is like to complete a scene. You're gonna have a hard time getting to that goal. So keeping it loose, keeping it rough, like there's no like even like proportions here really. It's just like a ball telling me, okay, that's gonna happen here. And then, oh yeah, now I got a way better understanding of what's going on in the scene. So I'm gonna start like implying some more character to the ball, meaning how tall is the character? Does he have like long legs, or are the shoulders a little bit larger? So that kind of stuff, which is what I'm gonna demonstrate now. So once you're done with this ball pass, this what's going on pass, time and spacing, then you can have a look in the character, and that character was thought to be a very like simple character. So there's no let's say the hands are like just like the 4 fingers and the thumb. There's not a lot of details. It's there's one line here that will help with solid drawing. The knees are the knees and the elbows are there to help with finding these arcs and these bouncing balls that you should follow arcs with, that kind of stuff. So we have let me import that. So yeah, once you did your bouncing ball, have a look at the character, understand the character. There are some poses here to inspire you guys. And again, the character is here as a head start, as a way for you guys to focus on the animation right off the bat. But if you feel like doing your own character or change the colors or like anything, that's your scene. The character is here to help. So some other poses. So once you've done that, the ball. Ooh. Let's now import the character to your scene, and the way to import it, you just drag in the library here. Oh, like that. Yeah, anyway. And then I usually like to have it like down here. And then you can maybe have your have your layer with a big transparency. Let's say 85. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete that because I don't know, I'm not liking the fact that it came with gray. It's because if I take a screenshot, like when I'm recording the screen, this screen goes a little bit, it gets a little bit darker. So now I'm just importing the actual character file here. So now it's brighter, it's better. So yeah, once you import the character, take your time to now start to think about the character in terms of solid drawings. So we saw that solid drawing was about understanding how the character looks on a 3D space. So the character is really graphic, but there's a construction underneath it that you can spend some time figuring that out, and that will totally help you to animate on a better way, right? So that's it here, and then the arms are here. So just really like draw over the character a bit, just so you get the idea of how it is. And maybe you can play with the hips being here, and then the legs are connected there. So doing what we did with the bouncing ball, and there was some awesome links going around about solid drawings for the Powerpuff Girls and the Homer Simpson. So have a look at those and use those to understand this character as well. Or maybe let's say, so it's you playing with the character. So if you want to like instead of like doing the construction like this and then the hips, maybe you can understand its construction like being like just one thing, more like a square thing, which is kind of like how I like it. But there's people that like to do the hips as well. I kind of do a little bit of both, really. And that's where we're gonna see that flour sack that we were briefly talking at the beginning. That's where the flour sack will happen. I'm gonna demonstrate a little bit soon. But then, yeah, maybe play like having, okay, that's one leg here, that's one foot here. Just do passes in the character, kind of like trying to understand. Oh, okay, so the arm is like this long, and it's the arm and the forearm are just as long. But I don't know if like I was saying, let's say if you wanna do longer arms and like see how you like it, and it's up to you really. If you wanna like tweak and like play, and that would be, let's say I wanna do a bigger head, so it's your character, and there's no like going right or wrong for characters. Or I wanna actually like do a big nose, so it's, I don't know, it's a different character already, just because I'm playing with proportions. So at this stage, try to understand the character's proportions. That's why I did lines here. Oh, the knees here. So so this side of this part of the leg is a little bit longer than this side, this this portion. So that kind of stuff. And then yeah, like the foot is like kind of like really small, and like it always starts from there. So it kind of like connects here. So really kind of like talking to yourself and like seeing how the character, what's your character design really. And that's very important, and that's something that I do when I start like animating something, even if it's like super quick. And again, sometimes production is quick and all, but I always try to get a screenshot and, I don't know, play a little bit, even if sometimes I'm already playing a little bit as I'm doing some of the poses. But my first poses are always I don't feel afraid of maybe throwing, not afraid at all actually, to throw in some poses, to delete some poses that I did in the first attempts. Because yeah, it's about that. It's about understanding the character. And once you kind of got a good idea of that, like try to break from what's underneath. So let's say, okay, so I got the idea of like how long the legs are and like how they're constructed. So maybe, I don't know, what if my character lifts up the knee from here to here? How would that look? Oh, cool. That's maybe the foot's not very good there. Maybe it's better like that. So that's not part of your scene yet. That's kind of like your study in character proportions and how to move it. Let's say I want to make my character just move the arm here. So if my arm is attached there, or maybe like I'll do a drag here, and then my hand is kind of like here. So play a little bit. Again, I'm thinking about the arc here. I'm keeping like this proportion. So no, that's not your scene yet. That's you understanding your character, which is important. Once you good, you can maybe, okay, let me fold that body a little bit and make my head come like a little bit forward. And maybe the head's, I don't know, looking up. And maybe this arm, like keep drawing through the form in mind as well. So maybe my character is looking up here. Yeah, looking up. I don't know, do those kind of tasks. You see, like I'm drawing through the form here. So that's where my back shoulder is. And even though I'm not gonna see it, it's there. Yeah, maybe once I'm done with that, I want to make my character bend the leg from here to here, so my knee's there. So keeping proportions and okay, the foot won't move, or maybe it will. No, bring the knee here. So really like a foreshortening the knee. So that's here, then the knee goes there. I'm not really like drawing a pose or like thinking about what's happening. I'm just really like, okay, how will my leg look if it's really coming towards the screen kind of thing. It's kind of funny. It's like it's looking like a dance or something. So yeah, so that's my that's just me understanding the character, and I really recommend you guys doing it before going back to that bouncing ball pass that we were doing. Like try to move the arms first and see how long it is, where it's connected, how you can solid draw this character, and then you can do that for all the shapes, right? Let's say I want to bring my hips here, and I don't know, twist the body a little bit like this. Like drawing through the form. That's an important one. So the arm is here. Maybe that looks bad, but it's a try, and you should do that those tries. Considering the arc, consider the arc for the elbow. Consider the arc for the wrist. So here, for instance, that's an arc. The leg is here, and in a way, like take these first poses as a keyframe, and then like try to imagine your next keyframe, but not really. It's not like a keyframe because it's not animating anything, but try to imagine how would the character be drawn on the next pose with all the proportions and all that. And in this stage, it's where you, as you do that, you're gonna see, and hopefully, hopefully you're gonna see, and if you don't, like that's what I'm trying to tell. You're gonna see that all the characters are made based on simple shapes, and that's what's gonna be important for the next pass. So I sometimes like to get stuff going on like this for first passes, like it's just like a fancy stick figure. So okay, let's say, okay, I'm comfortable with that, and that changes from people to people. If you're comfortable doing that and then kind of like keeping a ball for the hand, or if you're comfortable doing that and also keeping the ball for the knee, or if you're comfortable doing a little bit more round shapes for the arms, it's completely up to you. I like to keep it like very, very simple in the first passes, and then other than that, here you have in the class there, you have some poses that you can totally come here and draw over and like understand. Oh, okay, that the pose is nice. There's a really like nice line here. And maybe the character it's here. And, oh, I'm seeing the back of the foot here, so that's nice as well. So that kind of stuff, like studying your character. So first pass, understand what's going to happen with the ball. Second pass, get to know your character, and then combining those two things, what I'm gonna do now is to go over my bouncing ball pass. I'm gonna put it transparent and 80. Where is it? Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm gonna go here with my bouncing ball pass. And I'm gonna start like bringing those proportions that I just figured out and that character. I'm gonna start bringing, basically turning the ball into the character. So see that I'm going like super rough here. So one, and then keep your onion skin on here, because it's at this point it's nice to like keep flipping and seeing how the character is relating, and roughly if you're keeping the proportions, because and the mass and volume. Remember in the first assignment we were talking a lot about mass and volume and how it's important to keep it. So here, even in this pass, even if it's rough, keep flipping to see if your character, it's so it's really easy if you zoom and you're doing a pose here. It's really easy to, I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, right? But it's easy to do stuff like that because you were like zoomed in here, and yeah, your character is on a squash pose here. Right? But it's super small comparing to this guy. So keep flipping, and if you need to tweak your drawings, yeah, it's maybe a little bit better. So I'm gonna like bend the body here. consider your ground as well. I should have that here. Always consider your ground. Yeah, see, I'm going like really, really rough. Okay, that's my character. Maybe I'll bring that lag. Yeah, maybe we're gonna bring that even more down. Yeah, that's it for not for this pose. And then my hang time, I'm gonna do my character concentrating energy here. But I'm also gonna do in this pose, that's where you can really start to make your character oh, so not just in this pose, but let's say in this pose, yeah, the character is stretching, right? It's squashing, sorry. So let's say like a squash head, like that. Yeah, he's doing that, but you can already start to bring the idea that the character is looking up to his goal. So his goal is come here. So yeah, he's squashing, but maybe he can squash and then like quick look up to where he's going. Like that. So even if it's for a frame or so, well, not literally a frame, maybe like if it's a quick look, you already giving the audience, telling the audience with a pose what the character wants, and that way the audience engages more. So in this pose, the character can go and let's say I'm gonna like drag my foot here, and then the character can really be maybe dragging my yeah, I'm gonna do that one, and maybe the character is already kind of like getting like pointing to where the character wants to go. Not really good. Let's do up here. And yeah, maybe like the hand is up here, pointing to where the character wants to go. Okay, so like that. I'm planning the movement like here. And then when he's falling, let's fall with the body like here, and the head it's up here. Maybe let's fold the body a little bit. Yeah, like that. And then the hand is already like holding there. This arm that it was here, I'm gonna like keep that S curve with the arm here. Drag it from here. Maybe I'll keep the legs going here, or twist the body and make the legs like there. Again, rough pass. Okay, and then my character is falling, or is changing direction. So here is the moment to really like think about that S curve. So let's say my character has the two hands on it now. The other hand just came like midway here. The head's dragging a little bit there. And maybe the leg is really dragging here, like that. Yeah, so when the character starts to go down, so I'm gonna do when the body starts to go down, so the arms are like here. Then the legs can start to go up. So we get that that overlap happening like here. So the overlaps here. So character, that's similar to the hat or to the drag that we've been practicing. So body, which is the center of the mass, started to go down, legs, and also like head can start to go up. So that's follow through. Then when the character is completely falling, or not falling but like swinging, that's when my leg can complete that S curve. So here and here and then here and then this one. So that foot was here, and then it's here, and then it's gonna be around here, which is gonna hide my foot. But I draw through the form to understand where the foot is, and so it goes. So that's me using my ball. You see that the ball is like underneath there to plan how. I'll see that this pose is a little bit too small, so I can go and tweak this pose a little bit more, and maybe like I'll do the character jump a little more here, so he has more room to grab that thing. Maybe that one can like be a little more here. So in this case, I'll have to shift that as well, so the foot feels that it's here, jumps and grabs. So I'm using the bouncing ball as a guide for like what's happening, and then I'm bringing these like really basic shapes to the character. That's my first fancy stick figure pass. And as you guys saw, I'm really like just like kind of like quick drawing and like erasing and like, oh, my arm's gonna go here instead, or I'm gonna drag the head in this position. Oh, here's my S curve, so I'm gonna draw the foot doing this arc. Kind of like thinking, even if you want to like think about it loud and like tell yourself like, oh, that's what I'm doing in this drawing. That's the purpose for that drawing. So that drawing is here, and I'm doing this shape here because I'm following this arc, and then up in here it's hang time, so I know that there will be some drawings closer to that one here. So thinking about what you're doing, is that reason that we were talking at the beginning. And other drawings, they have like a lot of movement because it's like I was saying, it's an action scene. So there's tons of room to explore these drags and the energy on the drawing, which is something that like all your drawings should have. Like it's that idea that it's energy. It's that idea that there's life inside that character. Okay, and then from that pass, and as I started doing this, you see, like I kind of started like drawing legs just because as I was doing, I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm getting used to the character. So instead of like I did like this thing first, and then it's like, okay, I'm good with the character, so I'm feeling a little bit more confident with the character. So I naturally started like from those initial lines, I started to add like more proportion and more volume, but like not really thinking about the drawing, the final character yet, but just like kind of layering on top of that stick figure path. And that let me show you now where I finished with that pass in my initial test. So that was my ball pass. Oh, there you go. That was my ball pass. As you can see. And on top of that, I made the character. So that's basically what I was doing with you guys. So very super simple stick figure kind of drawings. Don't be afraid of do stick figure. It's all here. Maybe if the style of the of the animation is like that, and there's millions of style, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a fancy stick figure. You never know. So yeah, don't be afraid of like starting simple, starting rough, using basic shapes at the beginning. So that was my signature pose. It's like a woo, like a, if I finish my jump, or maybe if it's a ninja, it's like a spin. Like some of you guys made some like cool spins with the bouncing hat. Maybe that would be a place to like kind of do something similar, but now with a character. I actually change it later. I'm gonna show. But yeah, just that idea. So the same thing is happening here. Uh, are we good? Do you guys like seeing that process? Do you guys feel that it's like I know character is really it can be overwhelming at the beginning, and that's why I wanna really like go bouncing ball, understanding the character, stick figure. How do you guys how are you guys feeling? Daniel said it's good.
Trying to understand the pose that goes from like him facing the right and then him facing the left, I guess. Like, because I feel like when I do that part, I'm gonna have troubles doing it, like making it looking smooth, like that transition from like turning.
Let me see if
But
I
I guess
which part do you mean? I'm gonna scroll when you say
like
stop. Like
like
here?
when he swings on that
Okay.
obstacle, yeah, like so
Oh,
he
here?
swings around and he turns, yeah,
Yeah.
like I just want to see that slowly, like how you did it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna show that's coming the next path. I'm gonna show. But do you are you just curious about how it's gonna look, or like why do you feel yourself why do you
I
feel
guess like I mean, because it is a big movement change,
Oh
like
yeah.
in the character as well. So I just don't know what's the best way to just make it looking smooth when it's turning around. So
Oh
okay, I guess you do
yeah.
have a pose for like seeing the front phase before he turns around, I guess.
Yeah, you can so let's say if that's the fastest point in your animation, you can kind of like from the next frame on, you can have the face turn already, and you kind of like you can cheat a little bit. You don't really need to. That's the other thing with animation as well. If you choose right where to do these changes, sometimes, like in this case, for instance, you don't really need to see the head turning really slowly and like making the turn. If you choose that very fast beat at the bottom of the arc for the pendulum, if you choose that moment to change the face, that's because a fast moment, it's an animation cheat that is not like you actually like using animation on your advantage. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like the other thing is to kind of like think like the bouncing head and play with construction lines. So let's say from here we could do some construction lines here, and then here maybe it's the profile one, so that's kind of like a 3/4. Maybe that's the profile, and then from here, oh, it's 3/4 again, but now facing the other way. And if you think about those in place, so let's say that's here, and then that's the profile, just give it a little bit of hair, and then that's the other 3/4. So if you think about them in place, yeah, that's what's happening with the head. So that. Right?
Yeah.
And that is precisely what you can do with the symbol. And I wasn't planning on like showing it now, but it's the perfect moment to show where and how the symbol is a good thing to use with the for the head, because it keeps stuff in place, and you kind of like you're just thinking about that rotation, that up and down, and you leave the it's basically like this, having the symbol for the head, it gives you room to tweak the neck. And the neck is one of those things where it's very easy to forget about the neck. So when I was drawing here on top of the character, where is it? Yeah, no, not that one. Yeah, that one. When I was drawing here, yeah, here. Like you saw that I was bringing my my head forward and my, like in this case, and that's basically considering the neck, sorry. And you see that the character has no neck, and that's on purpose. That's to give you guys room to play with the head and kind of like because the head it's yeah, it's attached to your body, but the neck is one thing that people forget that is very flexible. It's easy to think about appendix as like arms and legs, but the head is also like just an an extension of your body, really. And so the neck it's also a joint. It's not a joint like the elbow here, but it also like goes forward and back, and you can tilt it. So having the head as a symbol also allows for those things, and I'm gonna show the next step. But that's probably the thing that I like about the most in having the head inside the symbol, other than like keeping the rotations for the head simpler to work with. And that said, I always do the head based on this initial pass. So it's not about, I usually don't do like a front face and then I start drawing inside it. I kind of draw one, and I usually draw a sphere, and then I put the symbol there for the head, and then I'll go in frame 3. Okay, my head in frame 3 is down, so I draw that drawing with the head looking down. And then in frame 15, the head's like looking up and to the side. Then I draw in frame 15 that, and then I in between inside the head as well. So it's always like this pass here is always the pass that is leading my movement, my symbol, and my everything really, my drags and my antics and saddles and that. So does it make clear like how the head will rotate? And I'm gonna show like this pass a little more ahead, so it's gonna be even more clear. Okay.
Yep.
So that said, and like I was saying, I know it's a little bit overwhelming, but like for these poses, I was doing these poses based on the, and I was giving those intentions and the idea of movement for the poses and making the poses stronger. As I was doing it, I was having a lot of design principles in my mind, and that's what really the class is about. That's if you go to the class later in the MoGraph Mentor website and the Campus platform, this class is about designing your pose. And I'm gonna go through all of the principles that I have there for you, kind of like showing how I was implying those in the assignment, in the poses. So yeah, posing is so here's the thing. When you do a composition, an illustration, I want to say that posing is all about these invisible lines. And when you do a composition, let's say you wanna, here's a kind of like bad-ish example, but if you do a composition and you wanna people to look to that little house here, you have like all kinds of tricks to, let's say, if you bend the horizon a little bit, you start doing those imaginary lines that direct the audience's eyes. So, and you can do you can put a little tree here, and then you can do some grass on top here, and you start like developing, and you can do clouds like that, and you start like and you're not doing arrows like that, but like all these things, they help to direct the audience's eyes exact to the point where you want the audience to look, right? And the same with character. All those lines, the imaginary lines, they're there. Or you can call them imaginary lines, or you can call them like directing the eyes kind of line. It's really like those are lines that direct the audience in terms of animation. So a key concept for poses is that like a pose is the character's composition. So, and that's precisely what we were talking about, purpose at the beginning of the class, and reason. The same way a composition is stronger if there's a reason why you composing the scene that way, and for every single shot in every single move there's a reason. If you I don't know, if you study like storyboard, like storytelling, and how to say that, cinematic, how to tell a story cinematic, like every shot has a reason, and he points the eyes, and like the film and the movie or the short will be better if you, like, the better the director is in directing the audience's eyes or attention, the better the movie will be, and the more the audience you will engage. In animation, there is this level of directing the audience's eyes, which is the composition, because backgrounds and all that is also part of an animated movie. But there's also this level of directing, which is the character animation direction, and there's tons of imaginary lines in a character that will help to really make the story clear. And as we saw that keyframes are storytelling poses, all these principles, they are important for every single pose, but they are very, very important for keyframes, which are your storytelling poses. So the more clear you make your poses, the more clear your story will be told, the more the audience will engage, and the stronger will be your animation, and so that's like a snowball from there, really. Okay, so that's one concept, and that's yeah. So just back to that a little bit. Like I was saying, like every shot has a purpose. Imagine that for our assignment, the goal is to make that movement using the obstacle. So that's the story we want to tell. And if you want to like build on top of that and like make the obstacle be, I don't know, a pole or something, it's up to you as well. As long as we keep the idea of like going to a place and like swinging so we can practice drag and that kind of stuff, it's fine. Again, kind of like the assignment. It's kind of like guidelines, but the more we stay close to it, the more we can practice the stuff we've been practicing. Here's a very nice example from Eric Goldberg in his book. His book's called Character Animation Crash Course, which is a very good book, and he presents that idea that we were talking about keeping you loose. So in the first example here, can you guys see my mouse here? In the first example here, he goes very, very like solid drawing. So there's a really nice structure here, and it's a good drawing. It feels like a 3D drawing. It has volume. It has all the constructions lines are there. And then in this second example, he goes for energy first, like really giving the character a reason, a purpose, and kind of like pushing it. Remember we were talking about pushing it. I'm saying like you can push that here a little bit more, and that's a good example where these two characters, the first and the second, they're kind of telling the same story, but the story is way stronger in the second pose. And you see how rough that is, but like everything is there. You don't need like more than that for your first pass, as long as the energy is there. And then once he established that energy, and then he goes and puts the volume and the solid drawing and the character structure, then he goes and put on top of it. And if you compare like the first one to the third one, you can see how much energy that the third one has comparing to the first one. And that's because he goes for energy in the very first pass, finding those lines. So let's say the goal for this character is to kind of like, let's say, point to this direction, or like he's probably saying, look up there, it's angry about something that's up there. So in this case here, the line, this line here, it's kind of like pointing here, so it's not really pointing there. So the most important thing for that pose is to make it strong, to point to that pose. So he goes and really makes that line straight, and like it points there. That's how you push a pose. So what's your goal? And then you push it to that goal, and then you bring design. So that's the thing I was saying. Don't try to make an illustration out of every single drawing in the first pass. Go for energy, go for simple, go for intention. When I say that, and especially the assignment having, like the assignment being an action scene, it's very easy to make a confusion in your mind that okay, so he's talking about the poses being like super broad or like super full of energy, and like that's how we need to do, right? Yeah, maybe it is for the assignment because we are kind of like working with an action scene, but I have like this example here, which I traced from Lion's King. That's the moment where Rafiki discovers that Simba is alive, and it's a very like subtle moment. It's not like an action scene, but you can see that even in those moments there are lines that direct the audience's eyes exactly to the point where we should be looking at. So if you see, like, he's preparing something here, so all the lines, even like his knee and his whole pose, is drawn to direct our eyes to that place. And then he throws the stuff inside his turtle shell pan thing. And then again, like, all the lines are kind of like pointing there. Even if you see the arc of the head, that kind of points there. And then he picks up something up there, so the line in his arm kind of like leads the audience's eyes up there, while the head is still like looking. So it's kind of like he's grabbing something there, but his attention is still here. And then it really looks like concentrated there. So you see like that these imaginary lines, they are present in all the story beats. So that's what makes the scene strong, and that's why the scene's clear. Not only because of that, because there's those lines happening in the background as well. But yeah, those lines, they make the scene very, very strong. And I like to have that example here, just so you guys don't think that this happens only on like broad poses, or like pushing the pose doesn't mean make the pose more energetic or like more broad. That's not what it is. Pushing the pose is like find those lines and push the audience's eyes to where you want them to look. And then we talked a little bit about that as well already. Oh, I actually have it here. Let's just yeah, I got it here. Just so after seeing that, you can check the scene. So there you go. And like pay attention on those lines, kind of like going with the scene. Can you guys listen it? Can you? So yeah, from here.
He's alive! It is time.
Yeah, so really like great shot. And I'll scroll a little bit more when I'm talking about something else. But yeah, direction line, imaginary lines. Try to find those. Those will make your pose stronger, and it will make your story point stronger. Then that's we talked a little bit about that already. Construction character. It's all a bouncing ball. So find those simple shapes. There's a link there to this scene where Bambi is jumping, and you can say, yeah, Bambi is really like a complex character. But then if you draw a sphere and the flour sack, which is kind of like a bent bouncing ball, you see that it's all based on like simple shapes. That's another key concept that especially for those of you that are, or I guess like most of you are like doing frame by frame for the first time, and some, I believe, have experience with rigged characters in After Effects. So that's one that's one advice that it's very easy to forget. So frame by frame animation, it's about changing shape, and there's no like rig, there's no construction. So this little example here, it shows again how a pose can be stronger if you really take advantage of the fact that you're drawing your pose. And yeah, we were seeing like Rafiki, and you can say, oh, but that's very complex character, and it's like all the Disney animation is really like complex and all. But in this example with the dog, it's very clear how the same principles apply to a very like Disney-like dog, and then a very, I'd even say more like motion graphics style kind of character, more like a stylized character, which often happens in motion graphics where stuff are more stylized and that kind of stuff. That's very kind of eye-opening to see how the same principles on a very complex Disney character apply to a very stylized, simple character. Like all the drags are here, all the overlaps are here, all the S curve is here. If you see, like then if you follow the nose arcs here, the S curves there. So that's the thing I was saying at the beginning about what would be my advice to the career and how's the industry. I don't know, like 10 years ago, that was the standard. Now, let's say like that stylized guy is the standard. So, and you can see in these two examples that it's basically it's the same thing with a skin of design. Yeah, same idea, like pushing poses in stylized character. And then line of action and body language, which we so body language line of action is probably like the main imaginary line in your character. So that example that we were seeing with Rafiki, I drew like a couple lines to show. You can go ahead and like trace like one main line, and that's not the spine of your character. That's the one line that shows. So if you start your drawing from a line of action and you build from there, you will be clear. If your line of action is clear, your pose will be clear. So for instance, like in this example, in this pass here, yeah, let's say that I'm really like looking for this line of action here because I want to push that S, and I want to push that hang time later. And in this one, I was really like kind of like trying to find that one line that shows that the character is. And then like here, that's my line of action now, and that's the lag. But my main line of action, because the character is going down, is that. And then maybe like that. So you see that like in this case, my line of action is here, and then the lag is kind of like just like a secondary line, but you can kind of like connect the line of action here. And then I'm again like really using the lag for my line of action. So it's not your spine, and it's not always in the same place. It depends on the pose. In this case, I want to really push that straight line here so I can really show where my character is going for. And same thing here, I can maybe do like another pose here where I show really like my character is jumping. I'm thinking about that straight line. That's the main line of action in your shot. And again, some examples here is about strong line of action. So in this case, you see like how there's one line that it really shows that he's looking to Bugs Bunny, but it's also like a strong line of action in the hole. So it's kind of like the attention is in the hole, but it's also on Bugs Bunny. And then in this case, Bugs Bunny is looking off screen. So all his like line of action, even his feet, is pointing out of the screen, and that's like, again, like direction lines, and that makes clear for the audience what's happening, what's the character's purpose and goal and intention. And in this here, so it's a dance, and I really like this example because it shows how connected are the line of action. So this line of action, which is Bugs Bunny line of action, kind of connects to that. You see the foot here, kind of connects to that. And if you think that a dance is all about like connecting and being kind of fluid together, that's a perfect example where two line of action connecting on one fluid movement, and then like everything else kind of like you draw everything else on top of it, and that's what makes your pose really strong. Same here, Dakamak. If you guys haven't seen this short, it's one of my favorite shorts. And again, pointing off screen, so everything's pointing there, and you see how the pose is like, it's clear here, lifting something, so like one strong line there, again connecting here. So you see like the line of action here is not the spine, it's kind of like on his thumb, like pointing up, and then the other one is a straight one here. So it's kind of like it shows how connected they are, and that's good to show like the more clear and the more stronger a line of action is, the better your story will be told. And in these examples, I think that's very clear. That's kind of, it's saying the same thing as that, but the second one is that much stronger because the line of action is clear, or same with the examples below. So you see like that, it's kind of like a little bit wonky line of action, and that's like really, there's energy in these poses that are traced in green. And then silhouette, it's a pretty like straightforward one. If your character is blacked out and you don't understand the pose, that's because the silhouette is not strong. That again goes especially for keyframes, because keyframes are storytelling poses. But if you can consider that for most of your drawings, that's fine. But that said, if you have a breakdown where the silhouette's not really there, it's like it's fine. But looking for a good silhouette on keyframes, it's also like very important to make your drawing stronger, and so the viewer can understand it better. Balance and counterbalance, that goes along with mass and volume. So we were saying that the character has mass and volume, and your character has also balance, which is balancing this mass and volume. So I did like a quick study here, and like let's say the character is really like on a straight pose, which is like a balanced pose, and then let's say your character kind of starts like leaning into that side. So if you do this pose, and if you stay on this pose for too long, like the audience will quick start to think that the character is gonna fall here, and that's because he's not balanced. So he's passing the line of balance here. So let's imagine that there's a line here. Oh, I actually drew a line, yeah. So he's balanced here, and then he's not balanced here anymore because there's more mass here. And when I say mass, it's like character's mass, like that. There's more mass here than there is here. Then what the character can do, and what the animator can do, is to start like balancing the character, which is, let's say, lifting an arm and a leg. And that pose here feels already more balanced than that pose here, just because the character passed more mass to the other side of the line balance. And that's kind of like if you see like people walk in the circus, where when they walk on a rope, that's why they have that long stick. It's because, oh, I'm losing my balance, so I'm gonna throw more mass to that side. That's kind of like the mechanics behind it. But what you can do is to not only throw mass, but it's like to or let's say I did that and then I did that. Then what about if I bend my knee and like really like try to control my balance with my arm, with both of my arms as well. So that's what balance is. So that pose now feels balanced, and that pose feels balanced. That doesn't feel balanced because there's more mass here and there. And some other poses that feel balanced. So maybe if you're falling that way, you can maybe like throw your foot here to control your balance, which would give you a pose more like this, which feels balanced. And same thing here. You can also like from here, let's say you can throw your hip, or instead of like throwing your arm and leg here, you can also like throw your hips more around here, which would give you a pose where instead of the hips being here, the hips are here. So your balance is now like on this foot. And that pose again like feels balanced. Not like this one. So balance is very much about trying to think, yeah, it sounds obvious, right? It's trying to think like if the character is balanced. But if you feel that it's not balanced, a good way to start like to tweaking it is like, oh, I'm gonna like lift this arm a little bit and see how it feels. Or maybe I'm gonna throw a leg a little bit up so he catches his weight on that other leg. Or I'm gonna like move my hips a little bit. So those kind of like tweaks are the tweaks you do when you're trying to achieve like a good balanced pose. Contrasts, that's it's funny. That one is funny because like contrast is a concept that happens like throughout animation and throughout many stuff actually. So the same way we were talking about quick and slow. Actually, like the other day I was watching this Netflix show called Abstract. You guys should watch it. It's pretty cool. And there was this interior designer, and she was saying about she was talking about materials, and she was mentioning that she likes to mix materials. So she has like some smooth cloth and some rough wood kind of thing. And then she said something like, "We feel that we feel stuff is smooth because we compare it to the rough material that is on the side, and we feel it. We feel the rough more because we have the smooth stuff on the side, and we feel the smooth more because we have the rough material on the side." So it was about mixing, and I found it was so cool because the same applies to animation. We feel a slow moment more if we work our quick moments, and we feel a quick moment more if we work out our slow moments more. So that's about contrast. It's like you feel one because you do the other one better as well. And the same goes for straights and curves and your design. So if you have a design that is like all curvy and like all throughout super curvy, it's not as appealing as if you have like one straight line or one straight side and then like a more curvy side. And the same goes if you have like a character that is super straight all over. It might not be as appealing as if the character if this character has one side that has more that has some curved lines. And that doesn't necessarily mean straight being only straight lines and curves being only curves. It means more one side being more complex and one side being more simple. So in this arm example, you can take your time and read those notes, which are really good. I love what these guys do, Gris and Norm, and they have like these like really quick notes. And like say like this arm, for instance, is like it's very like straight line. There's a simple line to it, and then there's like a more complex line. Same in here. So in here, for instance, let's say there's this side that is like simple, and then there's this side where it's more complex. And that makes the pose appealing the same way a scene with quick and slow moment it's appealing. It's because it has contrast. and I have like yeah, same like arm, and that applies throughout. Applies to the character, applies to background, to design, really, like to that's where like animation and drawing and design, they start like to mix, right? It's the same thing at the end. And I have like some examples here with this Tarzan scene, and all these poses, they feel very complex, and Tarzan has like tons of muscles and that kind of stuff. But then if you stop at some frames and like draw over it, you can see that like most of the poses they have, well, not like almost every single pose, they have like a side that is very simple, and then another side that is a little bit more complex. So like here, so that's what I was saying. It's not about having like a really like straight line there, but it's a side that it has. It's simpler in terms of like how the movement flows, and then the other side can be a little bit more complex. So here, and then here, and then here. So all these poses, they have that. And I want to show you guys this scene because I also want to talk, show like how quick and slow apply to that scene. And yeah, like take a look at this scene, thinking about those straight and straight and curves. Yeah. That's such an awesome scene. It's just crazy. So in here, you would think that because it's an action scene, if you just think about it, you would say, oh yeah, he's moving so much at this and like all the time, and it's very like fast and full of action. Yeah, but then if you look to the animation, like check this part here, like that's a really nice example about quick and slow. Check how quick his feet are moving, and how almost nothing happens with the body and the head, and that's like quick and slow really apply there. There's texture is very dynamic because of that. So like here, the feet go crazy, but the head and the upper body, it's almost like still. And same here. So it just like slides, and then another like slow moment. So like the camera is doing the movement here, and then there's a quick moment right after. So slow and quick. So slow and then quick. So that's to show, and then again, like this, the thing I was saying about the poses, right? Like almost all of them, they have like this one line that goes, they have this one line that goes throughout, and then there's one side that's a bit more complex. So straights and curves. That's a big one. That's probably one that requires like a lot of practice, and it's kind of, all those are kind of, I know that they are sometimes it's a lot of stuff. I know that the class is like super pack of stuff, and sometimes it's easy to forget about those and all that, but it's just like stuff to keep in mind to make your pose stronger. Yeah, just to sum up there's some notes from Richard Williams and Eric Goldberg talking about how animation, like to sum up, I just put a note there for you guys to remember that that's drawn and that's frame by frame. So there's no, I put the scene from Pinocchio where he sings that there's no strings on me, and that's for you guys to remember that there's no strings on you. So like just draw and like remember that you're free to move your character anywhere you want. And I know it sounds obvious, but it's just a note that I wanted to leave you guys with at the end. Yeah, and again, I know it's like a bunch of like design notes, but more than anything, I want you guys to like enjoy this action scene, do the ball pass, and then the stick figure pass, and then start to think about like how you can put the design on top of it. And when you're doing that, then you go and okay, oh, I will think about the line of action. Oh, I'll push my balance here. Oh, the character, I'm gonna do this side a little with straight and then this side with a curve. So you don't need to like just take this week and the first pass in this assignment like step by step, and I'm sure you guys you're gonna get to a good point. And then I said I was gonna show that. So if you guys finish the assignment in this pass, like the stick figure pass, it's fine. It's okay. I'm gonna review that. I'm gonna review like, so there's no like you guys need to be at this stage for this assignment. I'm gonna review whatever you guys have, and then I'm gonna do a second review in the whichever stage you guys are at. That said, like after this stick figure pass, the next pass would be to use the stick figure pass and then actually start to think about the character. So what I did here, that's my rough, right? That's the path I was showing. That's my fancy stick figure. So what I did then, I started to consider my character. I had the character there underneath, and I was basically doing the same exercise that I was doing when I was studying my character. So see the pose underneath, it's there, and all the energy is there, the line of action is there, the purpose of the pose is there, and then I went ahead and I started like tracing it according to my character and how my character looked. And you can see that I was, see that the rough, let's say in this part, the character felt a little bit too tall, so I kind of like made it. It's still, I was like tweaking it in this part. There's never, like again, it's about like tweaking and flipping and like that sculpting like throughout the whole process. Yeah, like say here. And then here, like line of action, the thing I was showing there. So I started to put this design skin on that stick figure or energy pass. So that pass here, it compares to, in terms of process, it compares to that pass here. So it's about the energy. It's about keeping it simple and like getting the intention of the pose there. So really like concentrating energy at the top there, and then releasing it as it goes down. And then my overshoot and come back. Again, anticipation. And I changed my signature pose at the end. I don't know what that is, but I don't know, maybe like a rocker or something, like kind of yeah pose. You know? I don't know. You guys, I mean, you can have fun in this pose, and then it falls, and the cycle completes. So let's just see like that. So that's called your tie down pass. That's an important pass when you go for character. So first you establish what's happening, and then you start and the tie down pass is like, it's those like polishes as you go little by little. So that's the first like tie down pass. I went ahead and I implied the character in the poses. I tied them down. I tied them those drawings down. And let me just show the other version if you guys, like I was saying, if you guys wanna go a little bit simpler, it's completely fine. There's no shame or anything on that. You can start your character just there, then do the anticipation, come back, and stops there. And it also loops because it finishes on the same pose. So if you are too overwhelmed with the assignment, just make it simpler. Just start there, jump, come back. You're gonna still be working on designing your poses, planning with your stick figure, tying them down with the actual character and all that. So it's just a little bit simpler. I mean, even like for time's sake, if your week is too rushed and you wanna get something done, just like go simpler. No problems on that at all. And one last thing for that pass that I did, I actually already started using, you guys can see that my body is separate than my head. So I have like only my head in one layer. And it's already a symbol with a timeline inside. So in my tie down pass, I already started to think about how I'm gonna clean up that later. So in this case, I'm already planning to clean up my scene, having the head inside a symbol and then just rotating the head inside that symbol. And so I just created a symbol, and as I was drawing this pose here, I was kind of like placing my head. So let's say in this case, if I wanna drag the head even more. Now it feels a little bit too much, but I wanna like rotate it a bit more. Or let's say I wanna make my character in this frame, so I make sure that this frame is frame 11. So it's frame 11 here as well. Then I can come inside here, do a keyframe, and then I wanna make my character, instead of like looking there, I wanna make him looking there. So now it looks there, and then at this point, he's gonna be looking again to the front. So now I plan my head rotation inside the symbol. So it looks there as it goes up. Maybe you can push that now here, maybe. So that's the thing I was saying. Like I'm kind of like tweaking the neck here a little bit. That's what the head being separated as a symbol allows you to do on an easy way, which personally I like it. And then yeah, back to looking to where he wants to go, which is to grab that obstacle. So like all these lines here, they kind of point to the obstacle. Maybe the hand could be a bit more here. But yeah, that idea with the line. So in this pose, the character is already like connected to the object in a way, to the obstacle. So yeah, the assignment for the week is to plan that pass stick figure and go as far as you guys can with these tie downs, with the character drawn a little bit with more precision, a little bit considering the design and that kind of stuff. If you get like, I don't know, 3-4 poses, it's fine. I'm gonna like review with those poses, and then I'm gonna review with this pass, which is fine. Is that clear?
So should we start with the head or like just with the whole structure, like with the bouncing head, or
you mean the tie down pass or in the very beginning?
The very beginning, like I just lost that part. Like, should we start with the whole structure, a body structure, or just the bouncing head? Sorry.
Let me go back here a little bit. So that part, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, what I did, I started with the bouncing ball, and so you came a little bit late to the class. That's it?
No. I've gone like really early, but I just didn't get if I should start with it like with a ball as a guide.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Oh, okay.
I would recommend that. Yeah. I use the ball to get the idea of like what's going on in the scene, and personally, I think it would be a nice way for you guys to start thinking about the scene. You can go with the character already if you want, but I think it can get more confusing and probably more like less encouraging. You will probably feel frustrated on an easier way if you start with the character. So if you start with the ball, it's like, oh, okay, I get that's what's happening. You go from here to here, and then you kind of build on top of it. So it, like, I guess like mentally is a process that it keeps encouraging you, because it's like little by little.
Right.
But yeah,
Okay.
if you feel confident and want to like go for the character, just go for it. If you do that, I would still recommend to not go for that. If you go for character first, make sure you go for that, like for stick figure. That's
Okay.
not necessarily using the ball if you don't want, but like definitely going for simple shapes at the beginning, and then going for that. That will make it very, very much easier. That makes sense. So what you did with the head there was just make a drawing of it and then symbol it, and then so I guess like it's how I approached the head, right? How I started. So
yeah, like if you change the symbol after, like you did a drawing first of the head and then keyframe the symbol. Because I see you have keyframes both outside and inside the symbol.
Yeah, that's true. So the keyframes outside are for the actual symbol movement. So if I move it here, like I'm also moving I'm also moving the timeline inside. Then if I go inside, those are keyframes for the head rotation. So the head itself, the round shape of the head, it's in place. And then I can here move it without losing its rotation inside. So it keeps the rotation for the eyes and the nose and the ears. It keeps it in place because the symbol contains its timeline. Is it clear? And then the way those are synchronized, it's by so let's say that's frame. Oh, I missed it. That's frame 1. So I'm looping in frame 1, and then that's frame 3, and I'm on frame 3. So it's synced. But then let's say I want to make this fall, or let's say different. I want to make this antic a little bit longer, like that. So when I did that, I shift all these frames forward. So right now, my head, let's see, let's go back a little bit. Yeah. So my head here is on frame 11, and I'm on frame 11, so it's all synced. Good. So let's say I want to go here, and then this thing is on 16 now, and it's on 11. So I need to keep it synced, like synchronizing symbols. I select my whole timeline, and now this is 16. But what happens here is because I move, now I'm synchronized with my symbol, but my animation inside is not synchronized because there's still drawings here. So I'm synchronized outside the symbol, but I'm not synchronized inside the symbol. So it's always good to, let's say I kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawings. I gave it 5 drawings from drawing 7 on. So I can come here on 7, I give it 5 drawings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now everything is synced because I give the drawings that I needed for the symbol and inside the symbol. And then I synchronized it here. Does it make sense? It's kind of like you need to synchronize both.
Yeah, is this one of the reasons that it's better to have just one symbol for layer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. If you have more than one symbol per layer, then you need to make sure that, let's say if that was another symbol, then I need to sync it here. It's basically like another little timeline from here to here, and then another little timeline from here to here. it doesn't synchronize if it's a different symbol.
Okay.
Yeah, that's precisely the reason why. And then I think there was I actually got some examples. Sorry, there was some other questions about if the drawing looks like very drastic, how to approach it. So I have that. Just bringing that up here. If you guys have more questions about symbol, please do them. As I got some examples here. So in this case, for instance, my head, it's a symbol. And you see that the drawings are like, they are changing drastically, and like there's drag and all. But I did drew them inside the symbol. So that's how my head looks inside the symbol. So it doesn't make much sense if I just play that, but that's because it's synced with the animation outside the symbol. So it was, let's say for this drag here, I first placed my symbol, that symbol which contains the timeline, I placed it where I wanted. Let's say it was here before, and then I placed it here based on my rough pass, which was sorry for the tangent. My rough pass, which was like very, very rough, as you can see. It's about the shapes, it's about the solid drawing, it's about like drawing through the form and that kind of stuff. But that's just so you guys see how simple you can go at the beginning. It's about the energy, it's about the poses. So my head, that was, let's say here, that was here. I placed it here, then I tweaked it a little bit here, kind of like an initial distortion, and then I went inside the symbol and distorted it even more. I think there's some drawings that are more clear, like that. Yeah, like that one. I really wanted to push that drag, and I did, and at the same time I didn't want it to break the symbol, so I went inside and drew it here. And then I had like I drew it, and then I did the fills, and then I put the highlights. And then there's like a gray pass, which was the path that I used for the shadow. I'll show the shadow in the other guy. So here, and then there's a gray shadow for the path, for this path, which was also like drawn frame by frame after the whole animation was done. So I could do that. I always try to keep things inside the symbol for the head, mostly because it's better if you need to tweak stuff later, and like it's just like an organization that I like to keep on my files. But there's what I could do, and I didn't actually show that part, and that kind of goes for like not on symbols but everything. If you go Command B on Flash, like Command B, that will break apart the object that you have selected. So in this case, let me just do something. I'm gonna do groups here, right? I just select it all, and because I have like 4 layers here, I go Command G, and it groups it all, but it keeps them in the same layer. Okay. So if I go Command B now on the head, it breaks apart. It levels down the object that I have selected. So if I break apart with Command B my symbol, like Command B, it gave me whatever inside the symbol was, which was like the groups that I just did. So now this frame here is not a symbol anymore. So I can't, if I go synchronize it, it's just gonna synchronize up until this frame. And this frame, I'll need to go here and then synchronize from that frame on. Because if I select the whole thing, it will basically stop here, the synchronization, the sync. Does it make sense? So that's also why it's good to keep, as much as you can, to keep it inside the symbol. I'm not saying that I never break the symbol, but the more I can to keep it, the better. And then just to keep talking about the command B, if I break that here now, it's gonna like level down one more level of those shapes that I have selected. So I'm gonna go command B, and that gives me now the actual drawing, which I can erase, and that's just a drawing now, really. So that's the hierarchy of stuff in Flash, right? So you have like the drawings, which are brush or pencil lines, and then you have groups, and then you have symbols. So if you don't have groups inside the symbol, it's gonna break down to drawings, basically. So command B. See, in this frame, for instance, I didn't group them inside the symbol, so it just jumped from symbol to drawing. And then if I have like another symbol here, let's call that one nose, and then I break it, it's gonna give me drawings plus the other symbol that was inside it. So that's kind of like the structure and the hierarchy with symbols. Does this make symbols a bit more clear? So yeah, like kind of like drastic distortions can be done inside the symbol, or you can break them apart, or and draw them outside the symbol, and then make sure you always synchronize twice. And then I have this other example here where I just want to show, yeah. So say like this pass, kind of like the what's going on, like rough and all. And then I have like this pass, and I mean I'm just showing to show the symbol, but you guys don't need to do that for this week, obviously. And then the head, just to show like how the head moves inside. So it doesn't make sense now here anymore. It doesn't connect with the body because the body is stopped on whichever frame I enter the symbol. But like here, for instance, frame 61, that's, oh, I don't have frame 61 here. Yeah, like here. So as he turns here, he's actually turning here. And the neck joints, the neck keyframes are kind of done with the symbol here. So this movement in place looks like this, and within the movement, it looks like this. And that was planned based on that, the rough pass. So it's always that rough pass. It's always very important. That's what I want you guys to live with today, and to really apply in the assignments for this week. That okay? That all good? There are more questions here that I didn't see. Let me see. Are you guys good to go? That's good. Yeah, don't feel overwhelmed. Take it slow. Ball first. Understand what's happening. Stick figure, and then ball first. Then play a bit with your character. Get the proportions. Get what's the character, how it looks, proportions basically, and then fancy stick figure. And then start to bring all these design principles that we went through in your poses. Good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Finishing on the whole drawing on the last week?
Yeah, and then the last week, it's gonna be to basically like keep going with the assignment. I know that one might take a little bit longer, but let's say if we finish with the rough for the pass for the character, with all the in-betweens and all, then you guys can, and I'm gonna show you how you guys can clean up and like use the symbol and like clean up inside the symbol. But the assignment for the last week doesn't necessarily need to be the colored version for the character. It can be just like that pass. It can be just that pass with in-betweens and the timing there, and then you guys can clean up. Because again, like the class is about understanding the timing and the spacing and the drawing, and then like the cleanup it's not necessary part of the class, although it's part of the process, obviously, to get to a final piece. But for the last week, because I know character can take a little bit longer, it's fine if you guys don't finish. Cool. So you guys have a good Saturday. Happy Easter, everybody. We keep in touch in the Slack group, and I'll see you guys next Saturday.
Thank you.
Good. Bye bye. Have a good weekend, everybody. See ya.